بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers. Alhamdulillah, we are doing the series of the famous four Sahaba, the four Abdullahs, and we have done the three biographies of the first three Abdullahs. There are Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, and Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab. And last week we started the biography of the last of the four Abadilah, who is Abdullah ibn Zubayr al-Awwam. So after this one, as we mentioned that we're going to do another Abdullah, although he is not in the four Abdullahs, he's much more senior than them, but because he's another Abdullah, so we'll do Abdullah ibn Masud. Very quickly, that the intention of doing this series is to just to know about these four young Sahaba in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They almost all of them grew up in their young age, in their childhood with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and each of them is a faqih in themselves. They are a leader in themselves. They implement the Quran and Sunnah in their life. So we want to see that their family background, how the family has affected them, how they themselves has affected the Muslim community of that time and the Muslim politics at that time. And from there, we'll try to get some wisdom from there. So last week we did just the introduction of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So we're just going to do a quick review. We say that his full name, and we say that he is the only one out of the four has the most number of family influence, meaning in the sense that his family is like great from every side. Like his kunya was Abu Bakr, his grandfather was Abu Bakr, his father was Abdullah, his father was Ibn Zubayr, the Zubayr Ibn al-Awwam. His grandmother was Sophia, the aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he himself, and Khadija ibn Khalid, the Prophet wife, radiyallahu anha, she was her great-grand aunt. We also talk about Sophia bint Abdul Muttalib. That was one of our purpose of this series, that whoever is related to this Sahaba, we talk a little bit about them, try to know about those Sahaba or Sahabiyat. So we talked about Sophia bint Abdul Muttalib, the aunt of Prophet Sallallahu. We also talked about the father of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, and also we talked about that Asma bint Abu Bakr, the mother of Abdullah ibn Zubayr and the elder daughter of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. Today we're going to talk about, also we started the birth of Abdullah ibn Zubayr. So we talked about how he was the first Muslim child to be born in Medina, and with that the rejoice was happening. Everybody celebrated because they thought there was a curse from the people of the books of the Jewish people, that they have the black curse, and Abu Bakr was so happy that he took Abdullah in his hand. He went through the market and cheering Allahu Akbar and giving the great good news to everyone. We talked about the naming of by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the first day he named Abdullah as Abdullah, and also the first word from his mouth was Sa'id. We also say that how he was a brave child from the beginning, and how his father and mother both tried to build him up his childhood, as his grandmother Sophia did the same with the Zubayr ibn Awwam. So they want to make him a strong personality, a leader, and a fighter for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today we're going to talk about the bravery of the father and the son. So now when the Abdullah ibn Zubayr is not a child now, so we'll talk about something that in his young life, and this most of the incident today we'll talk about that happened after the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you know that we say that Abdullah ibn Zubayr was born in the first year of Medina. So he is the first in the Hijrah. So when Rasulullah passed away in the 11th Hijri, the early time of 11th Hijri, he was only 11 years old, as we mentioned before. So the bravery of father and the son, as we described before, the Ibn Az-Zubayr, he was himself was a very, very brave man. And we said that he was like a bodyguard of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We describe many of his quality, and he's the only few of them, like Khalid bin Walid and Mikhdad, that he used to fight in the battlefield with two swords in his two hands. So one of the incident of the father I want to describe first, and the son is also related there, Abdullah is also there. That incident is with in the Battle of Yarmouk. The Battle of Yarmouk was a great battle for the Muslims. It started during the time of Abu Bakr, but Abu Bakr passed away when the battle was going, not in the battlefield in Medina, and the victory came when Umar ibn Khattab took the Khilafah. And if you read about this battle, you will see the Muslims were outnumbered by almost 100,000 people. Usually the comparison is like 3 times, but this time they were outnumbered by almost 100,000 people, and Muslim had a very difficult battle to fight in this battle. So in that battle, obviously, Zubair was there, Zubair ibn Awam, and he was trying to cheer up the people, because that is one of the quality of the leader, or the quality of the general, to go and encourage the team. And to encourage them, he was telling them that the thing that give me the bayah till you die, meaning give me allegiance that we'll fight till the death. Okay? And what he did to show them, he sat on his horse, he ride his horse, and he took Abdullah. Abdullah was probably, as I said, maybe 12 years old or 13, so he's a little boy. So he took Abdullah in front of him in his horse. So Zubair is riding the horse, his son is in front, and he has 2 swords in his hand. And there's nobody's holding the child is holding himself. Imagine how brave is the child. And he went through the army, and he was killing, left, right, and center, the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Abdullah was just watching what his father is doing. For a little boy to have this view, you need a lot of courage. So this is something that mentioned in the books of the Seerah, that how brave was the father and also the son. Also, there's another incident as a child of Abdullah with Umar ibn Khattab. So he was, as I said, he's probably 12, 13 years old at that time. And as you all know, that Umar, he was a huge man. And in some narrations say when Umar used to sit on a horse, the feet almost touching the ground. He's so big and so huge. And his voice also has a booming voice. And there's a famous hadith from Rasulullah that he said, "Oh Umar, when you came, if shaitan know that you are coming, shaitan ran away." There's a famous hadith that shaitan also runs away. Even the women of that time, or the children of that time, whenever they see Umar, just out of fear, because he has a so intimidating personality, they used to run away. They can't take him. And one of the funny narrations is that one day, because that time the Medina was flourishing, slowly the Muslim community is getting bigger and bigger. People are opening up business. So there was a new guy who opened up a barber shop. So he's cutting the hair and the beard and other things. So Omar went there for the first time. So the barber know that he is Omar, but he never heard him speaking. So he's a new person in Medina, open up a new business. But he knows that he's the Khalifa, he's the Omar. So Omar came and sit down and for the haircut. And Omar says something, in his voice, his booming voice, do this one. And the narration says the barber fainted. So he right away, when he listened to Omar, the Omar commanded, okay, cut my hair like this way. And he just, out of the fear, he just fainted. So anyway, so Omar, whenever he used to go in the street, the children who were playing on the street, they used to run away, hide, just to give him more space. So one day, Abdullah was playing with other kids. So all the kids ran away. And Omar was standing, and Abdullah was standing in front of Omar. So he didn't run away. So Omar said, just to test him, or just to have some fun time with him, he said, "Why didn't you run away? All the kids ran away. What makes you stand here?" So Abdullah said, "Ya Khalifa, Ya Amirul Mu'minin, I haven't done anything wrong, so why should I run away? And also this road has enough space so that you can pass away. I don't need to move. You can move and you can go on the side." So imagine for a boy to talk like this with the Umar ibn Khattab, there's a lot of courage, and Umar was laughing at that, and he took Abdullah in his grab, and he said, "Haza ibn Abi," meaning he is the son of his father. So he is the son of his father because he knows his father was just like the son Abdullah. Also, there is another battle in the young age of Abdullah ibn Zubair. I'm just going to quickly mention that is the Battle of Tunis. The current time, the area, the country Tunisia in Africa. There was a Muslim battle there, and this was in the time of Usman ibn Affan. In that battle, the Muslims were only 12,000 people, 12,000 soldiers, and the enemy was, as mentioned, almost 85 to 86,000, the enemy. And the king of that time, on the enemy side, his name was Zuwaizid. So Zuwaizid was a king with a lot of wealth and everything. And when he used to go into the battlefield, just like the movie you can see, sometimes he used to sat on his throne, and like the Omen is fanning him, giving him fruits and everything. He's just like any other king. And he used to give auction, or like bounty on other people. Says, okay, go kill this guy, I will give you 10 dinar or 100 dinar or something like this. So in that battle, Abdullah was present as a young man, but he was not the Amir of that battle. There's another Sahaba named Saad, so he was the Amir of that battle. So the Juwaydid, he said to the other person that, whoever kills the leader of the Muslim, I will give him 1,000 dinar, and I will give my daughter in marriage with him. So he gave a bounty for the leader of the Muslim. So the Muslim leader, he was actually a bit scared, He said, now they will come after me because he announced the bounty. So Abdullah said, no, there's nothing to fear. You also declared the same. You said to them that, whoever kills Juwaydid, you will give him, 1,000 dinar, and you will give your daughter in marriage, and also you will give him a land. So you do the same thing. So when they do that, then the fight began. And Abdullah said, you guys fight, give me only 30 soldiers from your group. I will go from the back and I will attack him. And that's what he did, with his all bravery. He went there and he went behind the throne of Zuwaydid, and in front of them he was there. And that battle went for a long time actually, before this happened. So anyway, the Muslim won the battle because of the bravery of Abdullah ibn Zubair. And when he went back, the Osman ibn Affan, he was very glad because this was a hard battle to win. And Osman ibn Affan told Abdullah that you stand up and you give the speech to the people of the Medina. Tell them what you did in the battle. So he told them that they had always tawakkul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They never they never left a prayer and everything. So he described all these things, and he's talking in an eloquent voice because Abdullah ibn Zubair also has a very eloquent voice. So he has a voice that that can intimidate all the people. People used to listen to him. And when he was giving the speech, the talk about the battle, Usman was crying, and he's crying and saying that Ka'annahu Abu Bakr, Ka'annahu Abu Bakr, meaning he's just like Abu Bakr, because Abu Bakr is faster at that time. He had his friend was Abu Bakr, so he said he's just like his grandfather Abu Bakr. Now this family of Abdullah ibn Zubair is also known for their ibadah. So it's not only that he is a leader in the battlefield and a brave soldier, he was also known for his ibadah. And people used to say when he used to stand for salah, they used to call him, he stand like a pole, like a pole, and he used to pray there for long time. One of the narration from Mujahid was a great tabi. He said that one day I was reciting Quran, so I recited Surah Al-Baqarah, then I recited Surah Al-Imran, then I recited Surah Nisa, and I finished and I saw Abdullah ibn Zubair still in his sujood. So he recited all this one, and Mujahid doesn't recite like our Tarabi prayer, he recited like properly, and even that long he was in sujood. And why this family is known for the family of Salah? Very interestingly, his father, Zubair ibn Awam, he himself, his two brothers, his two famous brothers, one is Musab and one is Urwa. Urwa, the name Urwa you will find if you read the hadith, especially the hadith from Aisha radhiyallahu anha. All the hadith, almost all the hadith from Aisha is from Aisha to Urwa and from Urwa to the next generation. Because Urwa is the brother of Abdul Zubair, and also he was, because Khala, Aisha was the Khala, so he has access to that. So all these people, so three brothers, the mother also, Asma bint Abi Bakr, and the father, all of them, they died while they were praying. So the Zubair ibn Awam, as we mentioned last week, he died, when the battle happened between the between the Sahaba in the battle of the Jamal. That time Zubair died, and he was been killed by one of the Kharajites. So, and he was killed when he was praying Maghrib prayer. Same thing with Abdullah. Same thing with his brother Urwa. Same thing with his brother Musab, and same thing with his mother Asma. All of the family died while they were praying. And it's also mentioned some other thing that when he used to pray for so long time, the bird used to come and sit down on his head. And another famous incident about his brother Urwa is said that he had, and you probably heard this story, that once something very poisonous bite him, to Urwa, and the people say you have to drink alcohol to numb your body, okay, so that we can take it out. Otherwise you have to cut it and take the meat out from the, otherwise it will go through your body. He said, don't worry about alcohol, it's haram. I'm just going to stay on my prayer. So come and when I'm standing for the Fajr prayer, do that at that time. So he stand for the Fajr prayer, they come and did it, because this family has so much khushu in the Salah that is well known and well described in the books of the history. Also, he used to fast the fast of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you all know, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to fast sometimes for a longer day, the continuous day. It is not, and he forbid us that, this is not for us, we cannot do that one. And Sahaba say, Ya Rasulullah, you do it, why can't we do it, why can't we follow it? Rasulullah say, I do it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feed me at night in a different way. But my stomach gets fed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it means that he used to fast, suppose he eats something suhoor today, fasting continuously for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, okay? But some of the Sahaba, Rasulullah allowed them, because Rasulullah knew that they have the capability to do so, and Abdullah ibn Zubayr is one of them. And one of the narrations say that he fasted like this for 7 days. So imagine you eat suhoor today and you don't eat anything till 7 days, no water, no food, and that is not the interesting part. The interesting part that he was in the battlefield, and the guy who's describing this, he said, he is no less stronger than us. So even after 7 days of fasting, he was just like or stronger than anybody else in that group of the Muslim army. And you may say that it is humanly impossible, and medically it's impossible, but it could be the karama of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you mentioned for the other Abdullahs, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with some of the karama, and this could be one of the karama. Also, the last thing to mention is about his Quran. So he's also a well-knowledgeable person in Quran. And how do you know that? Because in the time of Umar ibn Khattab, when and especially in the time of Usman ibn Affan, when the order came that we need to compile the Quran with the proper harakat, with all the sign, or all the fatha kasra dhamma, just for the whole ummah, the compilation of the Quran, a committee was formed, and the leader of this committee was, anybody knows who's the leader of the compilation committee of the Quran? What is the Sahaba's name? A young Sahaba who was the head of that committee of the compilation of the Quran. Abu Bakr called him, Umar called him, everybody who needs to compile the Quran, he was the first one to call. Anybody knows? Zaid ibn Sabit. Okay, so here's a young guy, so he was the one he was a scribe of Rasulullah. He used to write down Quran in wood or in leather, and in stone or whatever, and he was the one who was the head of that committee, the compilation of the Quran, and he has some people to help him, and there is three major people. One of them was Abdullah ibn Zubayr, and from that we know that he also had a very good memorization of the Quran at that time. That's why Zaid bin Sabit called him so that he can help him to compile the Quran. So inshallah ta'ala today we will finish it here. Inshallah next week we'll go to the political part of the Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhu. Jazakallah khairan, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu.